Alright, this is a video on the harmonic minor. I've done videos on the major scale, major keys, how they kind of work with chords and that kind of stuff. I've done one on the minor scale, how to turn those into chords and that kind of stuff. This is just an extension of that. If you haven't watched those two videos, do watch those before you watch this one, because I'm just going to talk as if you have, and some of the terminology and some of the kind of processes I'm going to do here, I'm going to kind of fast track because I've covered them in previous videos. Okay, so if you haven't watched them, watch them. If you have, thanks. So, the harmonic minor, there are actually three main minor scales. Okay, you've got the natural minor, which we've covered. You've got the melodic minor, which I'll do a video for in a minute. And then you've got this, you've got the harmonic minor. Okay, now, the harmonic minor is from a kind of classical world, kind of Baroque music particularly, but actually in contemporary music, elements that are used quite heavily, and from a kind of songwriting point of view, there's a couple of tricks you can kind of pull out of it that really give your music kind of a certain flavour, a certain kind of feel to it. Okay, so I'm just going to play the scale first of all. So this is this is A harmonic minor. Play that last A there. You can kind of hear it actually does sound a bit kind of classical and dark and baroque, but I'll just play the natural minor as well so you can hear the difference. So this is A natural minor. This is A harmonic minor. Okay. There's only one note difference, and it's right at the top. It's the seventh interval. Okay, so as you know from the previous video, the intervals for your natural minor scale are root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh, and root. The harmonic minor is A, or root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major seventh, and the root. Okay, that's the only difference. So one more time. Okay, you get this great, okay, that thing going on at the top, which is fantastic. That's all you really need to know about the scale itself. It's just play the natural minor, but with the raised 7th degree, and you've got yourself the harmonic minor. Okay, so why the hell am I making this video? Well, it comes a bit more kind of, it comes into more kind of context when you turn that scale into chords, much like we did with the major and minor scales in the previous video. Okay, let's talk about the reason why the harmonic minor appears first of all. Back in the day, people loved a cadence. People loved them. Okay, so you had this thing called a perfect cadence, which in a major key, let's keep it in C, is chord 5, which is a G, to chord 1, which is a C. So you get this beautiful, like, this thing going on. Yeah? And it signified the end of a piece of music. Every piece of music went, we're done. You know what I mean? It would just, that would be it. That would be the end of the piece of music. If you put that into a minor key, so if we're in C minor, okay, chord 5 is itself minor, so you get this, which does work and is very, very nice. But composers of the time wanted to have a bit more of a stronger resolution, stronger cadence going off to finish their pieces of music. So they decided to experiment with making that chord 5, rather than it being G minor, making it G major. Okay? And as a result, the harmonic minor was born. They kind of pushed that forward a little bit and made that happen. In modern day terms, it's kind of all over the place. There are literally millions of songs that still use that chord, that major chord 5 to minor chord 1 sequence within their music. Okay, I'm going to show you all the chords that fit within the harmonic minor, because by adjusting that one note, you actually adjust 3 chords within the diatonic series. So we're going to go over those, and then we're going to kind of go over the kind of more used chords within the harmonic minor. Okay, so I'm not going to go over any of the kind of tone, semitone things, because if you're watching this video by now, you've kind of done all that stuff with the previous videos, so you should be kind of fine. But just to let you know what they are, let you start on your root. You go up a tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, minor third tone. That's our kind of tonal formula for it, or tone formula for it. But let's look at these chords, okay? So, first things first, chord 1 is going to be A minor, because we have an adjust. There's no, in the key of A harmonic minor, it's the G. We've made a G sharp rather than a G, so I'll talk about it in relation to that. There's no G in A minor, so we're totally fine. If we go up to our next one, that's going to be B diminished. There's no G in there, so that's all kind of fine. If we go to our C, now a C major, which in A natural minor, chord 3 is a C major. Yeah. We've got a G there, but we can't use G natural. We have to use G sharp. So we actually get an augmented chord in there, which is kind of cool because we don't normally see augmented chords in your natural major and minor kind of keys. So that's kind of awesome. It gives us access to an augmented chord. Now, you do have to be careful with augmented chords when you use them, but they can be used beautifully. If you look at something like Oh Darling by the Beatles, a brilliant Oh Darling, beautiful use of an augmented chord to actually start the song. Fantastic. Got a bit sidetracked. A minor is chord 1, B diminished chord 2, C augmented chord 3. D minor remains the same. That's all kind of good. We don't have a G there. Then we get that chord 5. Now, because in A natural minor, the G is natural, so that E would be E minor. Because we're making that G sharp, we have access to that major chord 5. There it is. So we can go chord 5. Okay. It sounds dramatic as hell, doesn't it? Brilliant. Love it. Okay. So we've got a major chord 5. Chord 6 still stays major. We've got no G happening in that F major chord, so that's totally fine. Chord 7, which would have been a G major in the natural minor, is obviously going to change because we can't use that G. So that actually becomes a G sharp diminished. Okay, just run over this one more time because I got sidetracked a couple of times along the way. We get A minor, B diminished, C augmented, D major, D minor, sorry. Start that again. A minor, B diminished, C augmented, D minor, E major, F major, and then G sharp diminished. I really need to bone up my piano playing. So, one more time without the mistakes. A minor, B diminished, C augmented, D minor, E major, F major, G sharp diminished. Or G sharp diminished. Okay. So, that's great in knowing those chords. Now, you've got a couple of diminished chords in there, so and the augmented chords. So you need to be careful about which chords you use because they are going to begin to sound clashy, particularly if you're trying to stick in that kind of more kind of contemporary mainstream kind of world. If you're into jazz, then, you know, tuck in. There's loads of stuff you can do with that. Generally speaking, in the kind of contemporary pop and rock world, it's that major chord 5 that makes the difference. And what you'll generally find is most composers in that context will just use the natural minor scale and the chords from the natural minor scale apart from that chord 5. And that chord 5 normally comes as a way of bringing us back around. So you may even find a chord sequence might go A minor, C major, D minor, and then E minor. But then it'll go around again and bring us back around again, okay? Popular songs that use it, I mean, things all the way from House of the Rising Sun through to Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. It's used all over the place, okay? As I say, the augmented chord is there to kind of flesh things out. The F gets used quite a bit because that retains its kind of major quality, so that's totally fine. And the D minor as well in that respect. Most contemporary composers tend to ignore the diminished chords and the augmented chord to an extent. So that's basically it. That's the harmonic minor. It's just the minor scale, the natural minor scale with a raised 7th, and it gives you these lovely chords: A minor, B diminished, C augmented, which is great, D minor, E major, which is the important one, F major, and then G sharp diminished. Okay, fairly simple, fairly straightforward, guys, but useful to know nonetheless. Good work.